I'm very interested in the dynamics of ammo, and really ammo is just like a stand-in for all the supply chain issues we've been working with and dealing with since the beginning of COVID, right? Because there's metals and there's minerals and there's chemicals that go into the combustible powder. There's all kinds of stuff. So can you walk me through like, hey, this is how you assemble a round of ammunition, which most people that aren't familiar would probably call a bullet, or a thing that goes down rangey thingy really fast,
or a cartridge, or whatever you want.
Yeah.
So you can call it whatever you want. I don't really care, because it just does the same thing.
Yeah.
But so there's actually, I can briefly take you to Bullet College, and I'm thrilled that I actually know this stuff. How do I know? Because my husband took me to Bullet College, whether I wanted to go or not. So here we are. So to assemble a cartridge, a bullet, whatever you want, you need 4 main parts. You've got the projectile, which is the thing that goes through the air, and that's the thing that penetrates the animal, the target, the person, whatever. The projectile is the bullet. Then you've got this little cup that it sits in, and this little cup is called, the casing, the brass, whatever. And this little cup, the projectile sits in the top of that, but what's in the cup is all of the gunpowder. And the gunpowder is kind of harmless when it's by itself. It requires chemical reactivity in order for it to do something. So you have this little thing sitting at the bottom of the cup. If we were to flip it over, you would see there's this tiny little dot. This little dot is called a primer. And this primer is what makes it all go bang. So when you hit this with the firing pin in the gun, it touches it, it sparks off a chemical reaction where what it does is it creates incredible pressure within the confines of the brass, and it forces the projectile to move just by virtue of the incredible force that's created from the low explosion inside the container. Now I use the term low explosion because lots of people are like, oh my God, gunpowder, it's an explosive. No, it's a low explosive, and it's very different. It is flammable. It's very different. But when you have fire in a confined space, it forces things to move just by kinetic energy. So it's very scientific. It's really cool. And what's actually very interesting is when you take primer A and match it with brass B and powder C and projectile D, you can get an entirely different performance if you have this primer versus that primer, this brass versus that brass, that powder versus another powder, and blah, 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 blah. Like there are so many different variables to this. So my husband and I, mostly him, geek out on the precision of creating like the precise recipes, if you will, for premium performance, consistency, and, optimal, performance through everything. So we can actually call many of the products that we're making match grade and competition quality.
What does match grade mean? Because I've seen that on advertisements. I've talked to your husband about it, but I don't actually know what that means.
Well, it's matches, like not in terms of like the stuff that lights on fire, but matches in terms of competitions. So it's match grade, competition grade. So match and competition are interchangeable. But when people are asking for match grade, they're looking for something that could be used in a gun match.
Does that mean that every round has the same exact primer and amount of powder and all this stuff, so that when I'm shooting the competition, I know that every bullet is going to perform exactly the same? Like they're matching each other? Or is
I think so.
Or is it like a
so
match?
I don't
like
get
I'm
in the
going to a
weeds of
match?
this.
Okay.
I'm for anyone who's listening, they're about to think,
Amadeo.
Here she comes. She's going to sound like an idiot. Oh my God.
Yeah. Call in Amadeo, emergency phone a friend. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Help. No, I think I understand it. I mean, it's like, in so far as what we do, I know that we have 8 different quality checkpoints that really matter. It's, there's consistency that's important. You have to make sure that it's got the right weight. It's got the right measurements. It's consistent. It has the right powder charge precisely. We laser measure it. We measure it with our fingers and like make sure the primer is seated correctly and so on. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that we do to make sure that everything is 100% accurate. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not the bullet maker, so don't come at me, but I think the quality control and the recipe that we come up with is what makes it our match grade. So you know that you can rely on something that will consistently perform. It will be accurate. It will group tightly. It will, be consistent from box 1 to box 15. It doesn't matter because we have the same standards that we apply to each.
And it's all handmade, right? Like every round
it is not
touched
all
by hand.
handmade. That's actually
Okay.
not sustainable, but the quality control measures that we have in place make it so it doesn't need to be handmade because we have such tight specifications. There's a few things that will make handmade, like, I mean, we've been having, pun intended. We've been having like a big run on 300 rum and 300 Winchester mag. And these are massive bullets. They're big. I mean, you got this little 9mm, it's just itty bitty baby. And then you get the big granddaddy. It's like, oh my God. It looks like a bullet hanging out with its newborn son. It's kind of funny.